I never imagined that a single careless comment could ripple through my entire marriage and completely alter the dynamics of my relationship with my husband. My husband, Daniel, and I had been together for 8 years, married for 6. We had a life that looked picture perfect from the outside. A cozy home, a shared circle of friends, 2 kids who were thriving, and a love that I thought could weather anything. It all began on an ordinary evening. I had been joking around about something trivial, teasing Daniel about a minor habit he had, something silly and harmless in my eyes. I didn't think twice. But the joke fell flat. Daniel's face hardened, and the warmth I was used to seeing disappeared instantly. He barely spoke for the rest of the night. I assumed he was tired or upset about work. I apologized, lightly at first, then more seriously, but nothing seemed to reach him. The next day I tried to hug him as he left for work. He pulled away gently but firmly. I laughed nervously, thinking it was a minor overreaction. But as the days went by, I noticed a disturbing pattern. Daniel would avoid me physically at every opportunity. Sitting close on the couch? He shifted away. Brushing against him accidentally? He recoiled. Even holding hands while walking together became impossible. The intimacy that had always been a natural, loving part of our marriage vanished almost overnight. At first, I told myself it was temporary. Maybe he needed space. Maybe he was stressed about work. But as weeks stretched into months, the physical barrier between us remained. And what started as avoidance turned into emotional distance. He was still polite, still spoke to me about family matters, but there was no warmth, no affection, no intimacy. I felt isolated and rejected. I replayed my silly mistake over and over in my mind, trying to pinpoint exactly why it had triggered such a drastic reaction. I questioned myself constantly. Had I really said something that offensive? Was our relationship weaker than I thought? Was this a sign of a deeper problem I hadn't noticed? Feeling desperate, I reached out for help. I read countless articles about marital intimacy, spoke to friends cautiously, and even considered couples therapy. One common theme kept emerging. Physical intimacy is deeply connected to emotional trust and comfort. If one partner feels hurt, betrayed, or emotionally unsafe, even a minor incident can trigger avoidance. I realized that Daniel's withdrawal wasn't just about the joke. I had damaged his sense of emotional safety, and that needed to be rebuilt slowly and thoughtfully. I decided to take action carefully, step by step. The first step was open, honest communication. One quiet evening, I asked Daniel if he would talk, assuring him I wanted to understand his feelings. At first, he was reluctant. He avoided eye contact and kept his responses short. But slowly, I encouraged him to share. I listened without interrupting, validating his feelings even if I didn't fully understand them. I said things like, "I see that my comment hurt you. I want to understand why." And over time, he began to open up. He explained that my joke had felt like a personal attack, even though I hadn't meant it that way. It reminded him of past insecurities, and he had been carrying that weight silently for years. I realized then that what I thought was trivial had actually triggered deep emotional pain. Understanding this changed everything. I could now approach the issue with empathy rather than defensiveness. Next, I focused on rebuilding trust and comfort without pressuring physical intimacy. I gave him space, but I stayed emotionally present. I started doing small, thoughtful gestures, leaving him notes, expressing appreciation, cooking his favorite meals, and engaging in shared activities that didn't involve touch, but created connection. We talked, laughed, and spent quality time together. Slowly, the walls began to lower. I also sought professional guidance. A marriage counselor helped us navigate the emotional distance, teaching me how to support Daniel without being intrusive. We learned exercises to rebuild trust, eye contact exercises, sitting together in silence, and sharing daily reflections. We learned to communicate feelings openly and safely without judgment. Over several months, the transformation was gradual. Daniel allowed me to touch his hand while walking together. Then brief hugs in the morning. Then gentle touches on the shoulder or back while talking. Each small step was monumental. The intimacy that had been broken slowly returned, not in leaps, but in careful, deliberate steps that respected his emotional boundaries. Through this process, I learned some invaluable lessons. Even one silly mistake can trigger deep emotional responses in a partner, especially if it taps into insecurities or past wounds. Rebuilding intimacy requires patience, empathy, and careful attention to emotional safety. It can't be forced. It must be nurtured through consistent understanding and respectful behavior. Today, Daniel and I are rebuilding our relationship. The physical and emotional barriers have mostly lifted, though we both know that trust and intimacy require ongoing attention. We still have to be mindful of our words and actions, but the experience has strengthened our connection in ways I couldn't have imagined. If anyone else is in a similar situation, here's what I learned. Listen without defending. Understand why your partner feels hurt. Validate their feelings. Emotional safety is key to rebuilding physical intimacy. Be patient. Recovery takes time, and small steps matter. Seek professional help. Counseling provides tools for communication and trust building. Focus on connection, not just touch. Shared activities, conversations, and gestures rebuild emotional closeness first. One minor mistake doesn't have to ruin a marriage, but it can shake it to the core. With empathy, patience, and effort, even the deepest barriers can be overcome, and intimacy can return stronger than before.